Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our webcast viewers. My name is Andrew Graham. It's my honour to serve as President of the Canadian Club of Toronto and be your host today. Viewers, thank you for joining us. For 120 seasons, our club has attracted great speakers and large audiences. And I think many of us have wondered in the past few years, in this era of Twitter and the internet and very short news cycles, can a club like this still be relevant? And I think the answer, as all of you show by your presence here today, is an overwhelming yes. I think even it's because of how prevalent social media has been, and it's because it's easier than ever before to only look at media that agrees with your political opinions, that a gathering like this is so important, because this is a chance to sit down and listen at length to someone who's thought a lot about many, many issues. And it's also a chance to sit at the table with people that you maybe know before and agree with, or maybe had not met before and disagree with. If you sat near anyone disagreeable today, do you want to put up your hand? No, I'm just joking. We don't have to do that. Another aspect of our club that's very, very important is we are sustained not only by all of you buying tickets, but also by the generosity of our sponsors. Today's event sponsors are Birch Hill Equity Partners, BMO, Deloitte, Mod Developments, NFP, and TD. Thank you very much to our sponsors. I'd also like to acknowledge the youth and young leaders joining us this afternoon from Civic Action. Where are you? Thank you so much for attending. Now let me introduce our speaker. The headlines can be disturbing. In recent times, there have been too many violent acts that we've read about in our communities here in Toronto. Some believe that our city, considered by many to be one of the safest cities on earth, has become a place of violence. Despite what statistics say, I think images on television and images in the newspaper can be so salient. Medhat Mahdy, President and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Toronto, has ideas about how to reverse this trend, and business leaders play a key role. Affectionately known as the Y, this 165-year-old organization plays a key role in supporting community members, whether it's childcare, immigrant settlement services, fitness programs, transitional housing for youth, or a long list of initiatives for young people and families. I'm sure many of you in this room have used Y services before as a child or as a parent. I know I have. Medhat is dedicated to building our community, and he strongly believes that the YMCA can make our communities healthier, stronger, and more vibrant. With more than 400 YMCA centres across the GTA, Medhat is intimately familiar, more than many, many other people, with the issues and challenges that our communities face. He recalls how the YMCA made him feel welcome when he moved to Toronto from Egypt as a teenager. He brings extensive charitable sector experience to his leadership role. He served at the YMCA in a number of different capacities for 4 decades, whether as a member, volunteer, donor, staff member, and now, of course, as president and CEO, a role he's held for more than 8 years. His leadership extends to other activities as well, including serving on the Board of Trustees of the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health. Medhat, I'm pleased to pass the Canadian Club of Toronto's podium over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. It's so great to be here. Colleen asked me how long was my speech. I said I would stay on time, provided there wasn't a lot of laughter about my jokes. Okay, you're not helping me. I want to thank you for that kind introduction, and I want to thank all the sponsors and all of you who have made the time to join us today. Now, I'm sure there are some of you who are wondering, what could the president and CEO of a gym have to say about violence? So what I want you to know is that the YMCA is so much more than a gym. Every day, our team is on the front lines, facing these social challenges. During a visit to one of our 300 childcare centers, I noticed a young boy acting out and a young teacher trying to calm him down. the director told me that his brother had been shot to death in the hallway of their apartment the night before. Then there's a young woman who relies on our employment services. 2 of her family members were recently gunned down in their neighborhood. Just last month, a young man who had found work through our Youth Job Connection program was shot. And most recently, the 15-year-old boy who was shot at Regent Park, he was a member of our YMCA Teen Night program. In each case, we work hard to provide support and a place of comfort to those left suffering in the aftermath of this violence. Unfortunately, these are only a few examples of what we see on the front lines. So the YMCA has a good deal to say about violence, its early warning signs, and how to step up when you see them. To break it down, I'd like you to think of a heart attack. When one strikes, there's a protocol. We contact emergency services, perform CPR, and so on. But we know that we must strive to prevent heart attacks. After all, we know the risk factors: poor diet, smoking, physical inactivity, just to name a few. All of these increase your chances of having a heart attack. So we believe we should educate people on healthy living. We should help them stop smoking and start exercising. People shouldn't have to suffer a heart attack before they can get support. The same is true for our communities. When violence strikes, those are attacks on the heart of our region. And just as individual people, attacks at the heart of our city are symptoms of a bigger problem. Now, while we have shown resilience to date, I'd like to discuss how we can address these symptoms, these problems that manifest themselves as violence. It's a complex issue, so in the short time I have, I will focus on the impact violence has on youth and how we can prevent it. Let me start by unpacking the heart attack analogy. Then I'll share my thoughts on how we can improve the health of our communities. This approach is grounded in some exciting new research that's being released today. And I'll wrap it up with 6 steps I believe business leaders can take to make a real difference. To prevent violence in our communities, I suggest we all have a role to play. Community service agencies and charities like the YMCA, the police, governments at all levels, and business leaders. Together, we have the power and the responsibility to create safe, prosperous communities where our children and grandchildren will have a chance to thrive. Now, just as there are different types of heart attacks, there are different types of violence attacking our communities today. Some attract a good deal of media attention: gang violence, terrorism like the Yonge Street van attack, mass shootings like the one in Greektown. Then there are the types of violence that we aren't talking about quite so much: suicide. Self-harm is violence. It's violence against oneself. And it's one of the leading causes of death among children and youth, second only to accidents. Microaggressions can be a type of violence. When a group of racialized teens are assumed to be a gang, when women are constantly talked over at work, these microaggressions carry hidden messages. They remind people every day that they don't belong. Some people think this is a matter of political correctness, but I believe dismissing microaggression is a mistake, because these small micro acts of violence are warning signs of bigger dangers to come. And that's another way that violence is a lot like a heart attack. Both can be predictable. Like people, our city has risk factors too. Reports, including Roots of Violence, have been shining a light on these factors for years. Unemployment, poverty, racism, poor health, exclusion, housing shortages. These alert us to the dangers to come. When people can't find work, when they can't provide for their families, when they feel excluded or even attacked, these things have the potential to build up into violence. And just like the risk factors for a heart attack, risk factors for violence are often found together. In fact, they share a common thread. They are rooted in social exclusion. They are about being left behind, whether socially or economically. That's why confronting social exclusion is so important. Feeling included, having a sense of belonging and purpose, having a voice, these are some of the antidotes to the violence plaguing our city. And they are at the heart of the research I'll be sharing in just a moment. When heart attacks strike, we certainly need emergency responses. We could never do without the paramedics, doctors, the nurses who save the lives of heart attack survivors. Similarly, we can't do without emergency responses to violence. There's no question that first responders, police, and the courts have a critical role to play in addressing these issues. But I think we can all agree that we should be striving to prevent these tragedies, and to prevent them, we need to look at their root causes. The big question we ask ourselves is how? How can we address these risk factors? These are big problems with deep roots. We've been trying to treat them for decades. They are so big and complex that I believe we need to renew our approach. I believe there are three things that must be at the heart of our actions. One is a long-term commitment, two is adaptability, and three is interdependence. First, the long-term commitment. To prevent a heart attack, people need to have insight, resources, and opportunities to maintain a healthy lifestyle for their whole life. No one expects a single workout or one nutritious meal to prevent heart attacks. The same is true for our communities. I want you to think back to 2005, the year of the gun, when gun-related homicides reached a record high in the city. Think back to those who were children then. Today, they're in their late teens or early 20s. The violence they witnessed shaped the people they are today. Every child deserves a childhood, and many were robbed of theirs. In our own work at the Y, with thousands of children and youth, we are seeing growing signs of anxiety and distress. We ask ourselves, is history repeating itself? Are we about to rob more children of their childhood? What are the 10-year-olds witnessing today? What are they living through? What are microaggressions teaching them about the world and their place in it? Our approach must serve youth for years to come, even decades to come. Now, it's important to realize that our cycle of impact as a charity is different than the quarterly business cycle or the 4-year election cycle. After all, how long does it take someone to overcome an addiction? How long does it take to break the cycle of poverty? To feel at home in a country far from your family? All of these big, important goals do happen, but not in a single business cycle and not in a government cycle either. For it to be effective, our approach to confronting violence needs to be a long-term one, with short-term breakthroughs to keep us motivated along the way. Second, it needs to be adaptable. Our neighborhoods are growing and changing. Existing social challenges are evolving, and new ones are emerging. And people's needs are developing. We need to anticipate these needs, to read them as early warning signs, and we need to adapt to meet them. At the Y, we're working hard to identify these early symptoms and to proactively address them through a new long-term research and impact project called the YMCA of Greater Toronto Wellesley Institute Wellbeing Monitor. Today, in partnership with the Wellesley Institute, we're releasing our first set of findings from this project in a report titled Life in the GTA, A Window on Wellbeing. This report assesses the current state of well-being across the Greater Toronto Area. By well-being, we mean feeling good and functioning well. Our report shows well-being suffers among people who face economic and social exclusion. Well-being is low in communities with high unemployment and large immigrant and visible minority populations. People in these communities have poorer overall and mental health, and they live shorter lives. These communities are also home to more at-risk children. That means we are raising another generation that could face low well-being. People flourish when they have good jobs and incomes to support their families, when they live in safe neighborhoods, when they feel they belong, when they have a sense of purpose and a say. In the months and years to come, we will keep returning to this study. It provides us with a baseline we can use to monitor patterns in well-being across GTA neighborhoods. It will help us get a clearer picture of how well-being is evolving, where it's improving, and where more must be done. So this first phase of our research is really an investment. It's our commitment to better understand the factors that shape good and poor well-being. We're very proud to have spearheaded this research with the Wellesley Institute and my colleague, Dr. Graham McKenzie. There's little research that assesses well-being in the GTA this closely, and more importantly, with an eye to acting on it. That's why we've also produced a separate report called the YMCA's Contribution to Well-Being in the GTA. It examines our impact on the well-being of individuals who access our programs and services and our communities as a whole. When you have YMCA services in your neighborhood, there is strong evidence that well-being flourishes, even that of people who never set foot in a YMCA building. Those who use their Y do even better. People who access our childcare, employment, settlement, youth leadership, health and fitness, transitional housing, and other programs. The research strongly indicates that they have a higher sense of well-being, better general and mental health, and a stronger sense of belonging. This research suggests that the YMCA is an integral part of the treatment and prevention plan. We help address the risk factors for violence in our city. But we are only one part of the problem, one part of the plan. That brings me to the third important thing. We need all hands on deck. We need to leverage the insights and creativity of experts across sectors. We need to join forces and unite our efforts to make a real difference. We need greater independence, interdependence, much like the healthcare professionals depend on each other to give heart attack victims the best possible chances. Doctors depend on emergency response teams to get people to the hospital as fast as possible. They don't try to drive the ambulance themselves. These stakeholders have an interdependent relationship. They depend on each other to do their part. If you had one without the other, the system would crumble. We need interdependent efforts. We each need to know our roles, and we each need to let each other do our roles. We need police to keep our communities safe in the face of danger. We need lawmakers to design evidence-based legislation that reduces violence. We need more healthcare providers supporting good mental health for all. We need researchers investigating the ever-evolving causes of evidence and the best way to prevent it. We need socially responsible individuals who donate their funds and volunteer their time supporting their communities. And we need community charities like the YMCA offering wraparound supports that help people carve out a place in their community. Finally, there's a big role for business leaders like yourselves to play in addressing these early warning signs. For one, you can continue providing good job opportunities. Work supports people with more than just a paycheck. It tells us we're valued. It makes us feel part of the economy we're contributing to. It helps to give our lives meaning and purpose. Which brings me to the second thing you can do. Prioritize diversity and social inclusion in your organizations. Diversity on all fronts: gender, ethnicity, age, race, religion, income level, sexual orientation, ability. We know that poor well-being is connected to social and economic exclusion. So take a stand against the exclusion. Invest in making your workplaces safe for your diverse teams. Make your employees feel valued. Recognize their hard work. Help them find that sense of belonging. Third, on a related note, take care of your own and your employees' well-being. Watch out for those warning signs and do your part to counter them. Give your employees a say and hear their voices. Fourth, you can help stop the cycle of poverty where it starts, in childhood. Find a way to make high-quality childcare affordable and accessible for your employees. Advocate for it. Offer it on site or subsidize their access to it. Quality childcare has been proven to give children the support and learning opportunities they need to flourish, to grow into youth and adults who feel they belong and have a sense of purpose. And it lets parents reach their full potential. It gives them the chance to pursue meaningful careers and to earn an income, countering the poverty we know to be a risk factor for violence. Fifth, you can create a stronger presence for your business in the neighborhoods that need you. Communities struggle when they don't have basics, like grocery stores and banks. When you bring your business to a struggling community, you meet those needs. You also bring traffic along with you. You bring those job opportunities that give people purpose. You bring workers and customers who will support other businesses in the community. You bring business opportunities for your suppliers. By simply doing business, you can help support the local economy of communities that need it most. Finally, you can give, both as an individual and through your organization's corporate social responsibility efforts. By investing in local causes, you'll inspire other companies and leaders to join the movement and help build a safer, more prosperous city. As a leader of one of Canada's oldest charities, I've had plenty of conversations about donating. People often tell me they want to donate to programs. They rightly think it will have an impact. And I can't overstate the importance of programs. But I think we also need to remember those programs cannot happen without capital investment. People need safe and welcoming destinations. They need a community where they know they have a say. The Vanali Street YMCA Center, steps from Queen and Spadina, is a good example. The youth who come here are homeless or at risk. They need shelter. But when they come here, they also get wraparound support: medical, mental health, employment, legal and housing services, and basics such as a meal, shower, computer access, laundry, and more. By putting all of these services together under one roof, we've been able to reduce our costs, expand our partnerships, and help address some of the forms of violence I mentioned earlier, including youth suicide. This could not have happened without a significant capital investment. The Vanali Street YMCA today has become a beacon for youth who need us most. Importantly, for businesses and corporations, the relationship is circular. You can't have a healthy business in a city that's fallen ill. If people are surrounded by violence, they make poor customers and ineffective employees. But people who are given the opportunity to work, to make a difference, to feel they belong, those people become active members of their local economies. They make for engaged, productive employees. I'd like to leave you today with a sense of what's at stake here. The violence that seems to be taking over our communities, I have personally seen before, and I have lived the exclusion. When I was very young, my father received a fellowship to do his PhD. Our family moved from Cairo to live in subsidized housing in the projects in Pittsburgh. There were a lot of families living in poor conditions. The neighborhood was going through a desegregation process. Black kids thought I was white kids thought I was black. On occasion, a gang would come into the neighborhood and beat someone up. We'd all stand and watch. We'd never talk about it. The weapons of choice were a brass knuckle or a switchblade. To survive, I, a young skinny kid, had to find a weapon. My weapon was math. Thanks to my father, I was very advanced in math. But there were plenty of kids who were pretty bad at it. So if you needed tutoring, you didn't want to mess with me. And you shouldn't mess with me now either. And by the way, if you have kids who like to complain about how useless fractions are, tell them they'll never know how handy math might come in one day. Despite all of that, I have fond memories of my neighborhood. I made friends. I remember the older kids teaching us younger kids how to play sports. I was picked last for teams, but I was always picked. I remember playing outside while the mothers sat and watched over us. On hot summer days, the fire trucks would show up in the neighborhood. The firefighters would hook up the hoses to the fire hydrants and spray us so we could cool off. I'm telling you this because the memories come from having a sense of belonging, having a sense of community, making friends, feeling safe despite the neighborhood's toughness and its poverty. My family was fortunate to leave the projects. But to this day, I wonder what happened to my childhood friends. I ask myself, where are they now? Are they alive and well? Did they die in the race riots that destroyed the neighborhood a few years after we left? Did they escape the destiny that poverty brings to children? Where are they now? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, how will we answer that question about children and youth who are growing up in Toronto today? Where will they be when the children and youth of today have grown into adults? What will their lives look like? What kind of life will your children and grandchildren be living? I believe in my head, my heart, and gut that if we each do our part, the answer to that question will be, as we say at the Y, they've reached their potential and achieved their dreams. We believe this to be possible because every day at the Y, we see thousands of children and youth who are going through many developmental transitions, doing great things, big and small. We believe in their potential, their positive infectious energy, their curiosity, their sense of civic responsibility, and we see how they care for each other. I hope you'll join the YMCA in treating the risk factors that can cut dreams short. The future of this city is in our hands, and we have a responsibility to make that future bright by each doing our part. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
That was a very powerful and thoughtful speech. Thank you very much. We'll have a proper thank you in a minute, but first there are some questions that we'd love to put to you. In just the past few months, we've seen changes in the ways that violence works. For example, it's happening in new neighborhoods, as you mentioned. If we're going to build a long-term approach to confronting violence, how do you propose we ensure it's adaptable? Can you share any insights that the Y has from evolving alongside our communities over the years?
So we are very present in many neighborhoods. And one of the things we're doing in these neighborhoods is we're working closely with community policing and with other agencies in the neighborhoods. I think the thing we're trying to impact is good, positive neighborhood development. That's using evidence-based practices. So working on a daily basis is really important. One of the things that is important in being in a neighborhood is every neighborhood has sort of a network and has a way of people behaving. And by being present and observing those behaviors and any changes to those behaviors, we can take interventionist steps, and we have partners that help us with that. So that's how we try to adapt. We try to adapt on the ground on a daily basis.
Thank you. How does the Y get other institutions to be all hands on deck? I think it's a question about spearheading leadership within and among other organizations. How does the Y do that?
Well, we are involved in a number of tables, and we're all now talking about well-being. We're talking about mental health, and we're a big part of that. And I think it's getting those tables to move, to focus on policy, but also to focus on program delivery. The thing that the Y has is we're present in many neighborhoods. You saw the earlier introduction, we're in 440 centers across the GTA, so we see things every day. And so we're partnering with many other organizations to make a difference. On the ground, like I said earlier, we're partnering with the local community policing, we're partnering with local agencies, we're partnering with local BIAs to look at in each neighborhood what the needs are.
You talked about Toronto's recent past, going back to 2005. Can you comment what's getting better and what's getting worse as we think about the city and the region?
I think what's getting better is Toronto and the GTA are one of the best places in the world to live, but they're not for everybody. So the gap that we're seeing between in income and in health equity, for example, is a big gap that is widening, and that's what we have to work on. We have to work on bridging that gap. So what's getting better is the city's growing, it's developing. There's a lot of great work happening. but we have to bridge that gap. That's what's been getting worse.
This question says, I wasn't aware that the Y did research beyond standard market research. Are there other studies that the Y has been part of recently?
Yeah, we actually, I took over as CEO in 2010, and our vision was that our communities will be home to the healthiest children, teens, and young adults. Now that vision statement is missing something. It's missing the YMCA. So we created a vision about impact. So if we're going to create a vision about impact, we have to invest in understanding impact and outcomes. And we have to invest in monitoring that and seeing how our work is moving the needle. So, so we've got a lot of research we do. There's market research that we do, but we also do research with youth around program outcomes, program evaluations. We're also doing this kind of research around well-being, and we were a partner in the Black Experience Project, which was a very seminal research project around how Black members of our community are feeling about how their life is in the community. So we have a very broad research agenda that's really focused on making our communities better, having impact. At the same time, we also do market research.
That's great, and I think we have time for one last question. Your point about local economic development was well taken. Can you point to any examples of how this has played out in the past?
Well, I can point to some counterexamples where there was a neighborhood being redeveloped, and it was very difficult for them to actually get a bank branch in the neighborhood, get grocery stores in the neighborhoods. All you have to do is when you map some of the underserved neighborhoods, you'll see that they're populated by fast food brands. So what happens is they don't have access to good food, good nutritious food at a fairly good price. So when you look at how businesses are mapping their locations, you'll see a big difference in underserved neighborhoods versus those neighborhoods that are flourishing.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that was just really a tremendous set of remarks, Medhat. Thank you so much for coming to our podium and speaking. I was really struck by really the power of your personal story. I think the image of you yielding math tutoring as your weapon of choice is such a powerful image, and what a heartwarming story. And I think we're all very lucky that you ended up in Toronto after your time down in the States. I thought not only at a personal level was it inspiring, but also very thoughtful and inspiring to hear about the work that the Y does in the community and in the communities in the GTA. And then even though you're so busy, the organization is so busy on an operational level, delivering all these services and programs, there's time to work with the Wellesley Institute to produce research and ultimately move the conversation and move the thought forward. So really congratulations to you on all of that. Congratulations on delivering, I thought, a very, very thoughtful address today, and thank you so much for what you do and for coming here. Before we conclude, I'll just let you know about a couple of upcoming events. Next Thursday, October 11th, we'll welcome the Honorable Stephen Harper to our podium to discuss his new book about leadership in our new era. The world's changed a lot, I think, even in the brief period of time since he was Prime Minister. It should be a very interesting conversation. And then on Wednesday, October 17th, we have Chuck Robbins, who is the Chairman and CEO of Cisco, who's going to talk about teams, culture, and giving back. So I think those are both going to be terrific events. We'd love to have all of you attend if you're able. Before we close, allow me to thank today's event sponsors again: Birch Hill Equity Partners, BMO, Deloitte, Mod Developments, NFP, and TD. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you very much. Thanks also to MediaEvents.ca, Canada's online event space, and VVC for live streaming today's event. And thanks to all of you for attending today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.